This is the story of a little fella who goes by the name of Veeds, and how he managed to venture into the depths of the unknown in Rocket League. Season 13 came and went, and thus arrived a brand spanking new season. Even though he was rewarded with the fabled Grand Champ title for the first time, he was craving even more riches for the upcoming season, and so began his journey to overcome every challenge that came his way and claim its spoils. Setting off on this path, he drove for what seemed like an eternity underneath the night sky, until he eventually stumbled across a sign which seemingly read like a riddle. If you drop down through these holes, it'll take 10 shots to receive your goal. Scratching his topper in confusion, he was on the verge of starting his engine back up and driving on until the very ground he was on began to shake. The tremors, getting ever closer, struck panic in him, and just as he was about to make his escape, the earth gave away and swallowed him up whole. Falling deeper and deeper into the abyss, all of the starlight began to fade away until he was smothered by complete darkness. But instead of panicking still, the only thing going through his mind was the sign that he'd just read. If you drop down through these holes, it'll take 10 shots to receive your goal. He couldn't get it out of his head. What could this have meant? If you drop down through these holes. Well, I'm dropping down through this giant hole now, you mother ryoka. A sudden downwind grabbed him by his front bumper, forcing him to plummet at even more of an alarming rate. After a few moments, he began seeing a strange light emitting from the bottom. Where am I?
Simulation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wait, what? So, did any of you solve the riddle? If you did, you would have figured out that it was referring to my drop shot placement matches. See, when this season started, I really didn't feel like hopping into 2s or 3s and grinding it out immediately. In all honesty, I didn't really know where to begin, so I decided to queue for drop shot. Little did I know that this would be the best decision I could have made at that very moment. See, I decided to play with one of my friends, Sarius. Yes, the very same one some of you seem to have been asking if he's the real Sarius in game, believe it or not. Anyway, back to the matter. He'd already played 2 of his placement matches before I hopped on, and won them both. And I'm only telling you this now because it's actually important for what happens later on in the video. After a 10-minute queue, we finally found our first game together, and from that moment on, we never looked back. We won that first game, along with the next, and the next. In fact, we literally won every single game we played. We were still technically unranked, but had quickly found ourselves within the top 100 in the world. We were both flawless in our placement matches by this point, and with Sarius only needing to play one more match to be placed, he was already GC and had found himself looking at a top 25 placing and was at that point the highest unranked player in the world. The pressure was on for him in the next match, as it would grant him a fully clear passage through his placement matches, going 10-0. And you know what? We did it, boys. We went on to win that game, and with that we'd managed to get him through his placement matches in flawless fashion. But now it was my turn to do the same. I had 2 games remaining, but together it felt like we could take on the world. So let's go! Oh wait, what? So at this point, Sarius actually ditched me. He'd had his fun and cast me asunder, meaning I had to fend for myself in my remaining 2 placement games. And going into the first of the 2, I immediately noticed my teammates were playing way slower than the opposing team. It felt pretty one-sided until I managed to sneak in the first goal of the game. Oh wait, no, my teammate actually saved it. And that pretty much summed up the rest of the game, as we went on to lose this match, and I couldn't help but think that it was that touch right there that put the final nail in the coffin. Nonetheless, looking forward, I was ready to bounce back and secure the win in my 10th placement match, until I queued up with the exact same team again, and against the same opposition. A feeling of defeat swept over me as the dream was seemingly coming to an end, but in a heartbeat that faded as I decided to take the game by the horns. This game felt like it was being played at a faster pace than the last, and everything was working in my favour. And there were some super close and potential very game-changing moments, especially with the last touch of the game when I clutched up with a vital save. So 10 placement matches, 9 wins, and only 1 loss. I'd secured myself a top 100 placing, and this has set me well on my way to claiming full Rocket League glory this season. So tune in next time to see me experiment in taking on my placement matches in all 4 of the core playlists, in a single video. If you enjoyed this weirdly unique take on a placement match video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.